Banco Beverage. Proudly serving the Lehigh Valley for over 80 years. It's 80 years. Say it with me. 80 years. It's a long time. Over 30 plus breweries distributed, including Miller, Yuengling, Pabst, Guinness, Heineken, plus a generous variety of imported and specialty brands. They are located at Crackersport Road in Allentown, PA. Can't get any more local than that, Lehigh Valley. Banco Beverage is locally owned, operated since 1933. They have an exceptional team of staff dedicated to making their customers happy. If you're interested in having Banco be your purveyor for whatever bar or establishment you own, you can go to www.bancobeverage.com. I have the information in the ads as well, and I want to thank Banco for coming on and being a sponsor. Myself and Tony are working on some projects, and we are going to be bringing some really cool content, as well as Banco is going to be providing for a lot of the things that we do event-wise. So thank you, Banco, again. Thank you, Tony, and check out Banco Beverage. Giacomo's Italian Market. What an awesome relationship that has blossomed between Never Again Studio and Giacomo's Italian Market. We've been working with them with Studio Kitchen. We've been doing their Italian sausage and going to pop-ups with them. I love Sal. I love all the guys over there. It's always awesome collaborating. And you should go check them out. They got specialty Italian items. They're famous for the cheesesteak, the sausage. I can't even list everything because everything over there on that menu is fantastic. It's a home run. They are in Easton, PA, 700 Cattell Street. That's 700 Cattell Street in Easton, PA. They are over by College Hill. It's a dope area to check out. You need to go there. They got plenty of inside seating. They got all kinds of specialty Italian things off to the side, of pasta, vodka sauce. I usually just go there because I'm not making it as good as Sal. So I pick up my vodka sauce and, I say, what's up? We got some oils and all kinds of different things. But I can't say nothing but positive things over at Giacomo's. If you know them, you know them. If you don't know them, you're crazy and you need to get over there. That's 700 Cattell Street in Easton. That's Giacomo's Italian Market. Tell Sal what's up. The Curious Plantaholic, located in Nazareth and Clinton, New Jersey. The Nazareth location was opened first, and I met Jenny. We immediately hit it off. I knew we would start working on projects. She is the energy and the breath of fresh air that Nazareth needs. I started buying plants off of her, went down a rabbit hole. Now I got a bunch of plants I got to take care of. I'm trying my hardest. People are helping me. What an awesome shop for plants, retail. The energy in there is amazing. The employees in there are amazing. It's a plant and supply store focused on connecting with local communities, and boy, do they do a fantastic job at that. I can't say enough about these guys. You need to go to their locations and check them out, but they also have plants for sale online. It's securiousplantaholic.com, and right now they have two locations, which is Nazareth, and the other one is Clinton, New Jersey. Please check them out, and you can get more information at curiousplantaholic.com. I'm going to be working with Jenny on some other projects as well, so you will see us kind of creating a vibe and some things going on in Nazareth. We're really going to help kind of revitalize and get some things going on in Nazareth. So if you want to, please check out the Curious Plantaholics in Nazareth. Support local, support us. They support the podcast. Thank you so much for coming on as a sponsor. Maintaining. Never Again Radio. I have no clue what episode this is. Welcome to Never Again Radio. How are you?
I'm doing great.
That's how we start. That's how we start.
There it is.
We do all of our checks and our OCD ticks and things, and then we just jump into it. I appreciate you coming down after a long break. We are back. Welcome to the studio. I found out through... They are now the Mystical Mug.
Yes.
So there was a conversation in there, and I think she was like, check out my friend, and usually I do. And I was like, oh, this is cool. I know nothing about this. She looks like she's really into what she's doing. So I figured I would have you down here to promote what you're doing. When did you start even remotely getting into... There's so many creative outlets you do. So like, where does all of your creativity start before you even turn this into a business?
Well, I would say my creativity started...
Can you pull that in just a little closer? Sorry.
Like there?
Yeah.
That better?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. I thought I was projecting too loud. I would say that my creativity started all the way back in high school, where I would do my own hair in my bathroom. I would do my friend's hair. And then I went to beauty school from there, and graduated beauty school, decided that that wasn't enough.
How early on was it that you were like, beauty school is what I want to do? And then were you like laser focused on just getting to beauty school?
Yeah.
So like you wanted nothing to do with high school,
fuck
like
the
get me out.
SATs. Yeah. The moment that I graduated, took a month off, and then I was in beauty school by August. Yeah.
And then what does beauty school actually give you? I know a lot of my friends that I went to high school with, and I've had hairdressers on and whatnot, and like I know you can go do that. Like, what does beauty school give you that you then can go? Do you get something that allows you to open a business? Is it just enough knowledge? What's the point of going to business to beauty school?
It gives you a lot of debt.
Yep.
And a place to start, right? So beauty school really only teaches you how to pass state boards. So you have to take a licensing test through the State Board of Pennsylvania to do hair.
All right.
Or aesthetics or anything like that, you have to take a test for. So basically all you're doing is paying to get hours and practicing in clinical and having somebody watch you to make sure that you're not fucking up too hard.
Yeah.
And then you pay more money to get a license, and then you're off on your own. So they dabble in doing like business courses, but it's not really enough. So I'm thankful now that my career has led me to be able to go back into beauty schools to teach them how to also do lashes, because you have to be licensed to take it, but they don't teach you how to do it in school. So it would be an additional expense that they have to invest in, additional time that the student has to invest in. So beauty school now has an edge when they graduate. But when I went there, it was kind of just like, here's foils, have a blast.
Yeah. I knew there was like a point to going, and then I didn't realize like you had to be licensed with the state board and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. I didn't know there was that much that went into it.
Yeah.
So how long were you in beauty school?
It's a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cosmetology is 12 months. Aesthetics is like 3. So it really just depends on what you want to do.
Did you know in it exactly what you wanted to do getting out of it, or you were like, fuck, now what do I do?
No, halfway through I was like, I don't think I want to do this kind of hair. Which it's always been a fail-safe for me. Like, end of the world, you need something to barter with. So hair is my bartering tool. But I decided that I wanted to go to college after beauty school. So I went to art school. I went to the Art Institute of Pittsburgh for entertainment design. So while I was there learning how to do animatronics and special effects, I was paying my way through.
What were you
hair.
into that led you to that?
Creative stuff, like
Yeah.
Halloween, always. Yeah.
I just didn't know if you were like a big anime person, or like what led you to, I mean, because it's usually a specific niche that then gets into stuff like that.
Definitely horror, like horror all day. So not necessarily like anime or any sort of like fantasy in that realm, but blood and guts for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, when I was younger and before I started any of this, I kind of, it just interests me that you went there. Almost went to Full Sail University for video game design. And it was like, I feel like stuff like that's hard to get into. It's probably not as hard now, but like, I always just find it interesting when people kind of like actually go off and like try and tackle something that you would end up getting a weird niche like career out of that like not too many people are doing. So what was it like for you to get out of school after finding one creative angle and then going and starting a whole nother creative angle? Because I talked to you a little bit last night, and I love that you have so much different crazy things on your plate, because I can relate to it.
So many cups. So many cups.
So you finish beauty school, and then now you go off to this other school. So what was that like to transition? And then now I'm guessing you moved to Pittsburgh to do this?
Yeah, I did. So I spent like 8 years in Pittsburgh, but I feel like until 2.5, 3 years ago, I was just speed dating careers. I mean, they were long-term relationships and a lot of money, which is also dating in any realm. But I feel like I just kept being like, I think that this interests me, and I'm going to do it all the way to the end. And if I decide that that's not what I want to do, then I'm going to figure it out some other way. So I kept investing and growing in all of these different careers until I finally fell into what I'm doing now. But everything that I had done prior to that has absolutely helped me in this space.
Yeah, I like that. I think sometimes when people get into things, then they transition into something else. They want to jump into that specific thing, not realizing that the other thing that they did, regardless of if it completely goes with it, you learned something from that that will help you to get further in the next. And it's similar to what I did with Never Again, where it started out as apparel, then it went into a podcast, and now it's into food. And then it's like all three of those things are still umbrellaed underneath Never Again. And like oddly in the beginning of this, I had no clue what I was doing. I was 28. I was living above a bar, and I was like, "Hey, I'm going to start this thing, and then I'm going to trademark it." And when I trademarked it, I was going to do Never Again clothing, and then I was like, "Let's just do Never Again because I don't know where this is actually going to be, and then everything can kind of umbrella it." And I like when I run into people who kind of take multiple different things that they tried out and it didn't work or it didn't feel right at the moment, so they went into something else, but they didn't let go of it. And you can kind of keep creating like a weird turnstile where you can literally one day, if you don't feel like doing something, you can go over here. And I feel like mentally that has always helped me, where it's like, all right, well, I don't want to work on that, I can work on this. And then you're just kind of like picking and choosing what you want to enjoy for the day.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even when you think about it, right? So like the biggest Kevin Bacon moment of this whole thing that really doesn't make any sense if you're looking at it on paper, right? So I specialize in doing colored lash extensions. So like lash extensions on people's faces that are like pink and blue and everything under the sun, right? So there has to be some level of understanding of color theory. So like all the way back to being in college, learning color theory of painting a prosthetic, like you're starting with latex foam or silicone, and you can't just like paint it. You have to build up all the flesh tones. So you have to put red and you have to put vein color, and then you have to work different layers of color to build that flesh tone. So that dynamic of understanding color theory has moved through every bit of my career, through doing hair again, through tattooing, like looking at somebody's face and being like, okay, they want brown brows. There's 7,000 shades of brown, and I need to figure out their underlying pigment, what they look like after being tanned or anything like that, and finding their color theory and matching that. So everything that I'm doing now, like everything that I had done before, works with it.
That's crazy. Yeah. How long were you in Pittsburgh?
Like 8 years. Casual little blip.
So I guess what I was trying to ask is, how long were you in school there? Because now you're living there. So you did the 4 years, and then what did you do after the 4 years? Were you trying to get into that?
Hung out.
Pittsburgh school?
Stayed. Yeah. I loved it there. That's where I learned to do what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like working in a hair salon, and the owner was like, dude, your OCD is ridiculous. Because every time we would get a color order, I would take it out and I would reorganize everything and make sure that it looked beautiful and perfect. And she's like, tenacity is going to be your thing. So let's get you into lashes. And I was so fucking bad at it the first time that I did it. It took me 2 hours to get like 9 lashes on. You have no idea what I'm talking about. So each eye has like 100. 100.
I was going to be like,
you're like,
explain.
I don't know what that means. So like each eye has like 150 lashes each on it. And I got 9 in 2 hours. Like I would have been there all day.
Yeah.
So I just kept doing it until I didn't suck anymore. And then I Stockholm syndromed myself into a career.
Is that how you usually get stuff done? Is continually, like for me, and the older I get and the more I realize like how I actually like comprehend, a lot of it is like hands-on repetition. I get frustrated, and then eventually I get to a point where I'm no longer frustrated. Then I have to build confidence. Then after confidence, then I'm like, okay, yeah, I know how to do this. And then I immediately jump into something else that puts me in the same position that I hated.
Yeah.
like before.
Always.
I can relate to it with cooking a lot, especially with like starting a new job and stuff like that. Like you don't know their menu and you don't know how to do anything and you absolutely suck at it. And the only way you get better at it is if you continually keep doing it over and over and over. So I've always just learned with repetition and constant failure and then build off of it and then keep going. So I relate to that as well. So you graduated and then you're now working in Pittsburgh, and then where do you kind of start coming up with bringing all this stuff together? Because I mean, it sounds like you're doing hair and lashes, but the degree you got in Pittsburgh, what were you doing with that at the time?
Nothing.
Yeah.
I've done nothing with it. Halloween has been cool.
Hell yeah.
But other than that, like,
was it hard to get into?
yeah, because to protect yourself in your own career, like, you would have to get into the film industry, and like, I just wasn't in love with it enough to want to do all of the hard things that came with it.
Could you have done it out of Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, Pittsburgh and Philly, they bounce back and forth all the time. I mean, hell, when I was going to school, they were filming Batman there. So could have very easily jumped into it. But like I said, I didn't love it enough to do all of the hard stuff.
Yeah. But I can see how you can take a lot of that now into what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So then you take your degree that you had before, and then now you're just kind of working at a shop and kind of learning the ropes on hair and eyelashes and stuff like that?
Yeah, just definitely bebopping around. Like, I was working in different salons and different atmospheres. Because like I said, I was really just speed dating my career.
Yeah.
Like, every time I would get somewhere, I'm like, this is cool, but it's not forever. So I'm going to learn from it what I can. I can give back what I can, and then we're going to move on when the time is right. So I moved through a lot of different experiences and different working environments, and I learned some stuff and I hated some stuff, and eventually it was just like, fuck it, I'm buying my building.
Yeah, I think it's important to kind of hang there for a little bit. When you are at a job that you dislike, or it doesn't feel like it's what you should be doing, and you know you have to be there for a little bit, if you kind of change your mentality on, okay, well, I'm going to learn a little bit here, I'm going to be here a little bit, and then like we should probably build an exit strategy. Because I mean, I'm sure a lot of people like myself, or I don't know if you, but like I've gotten stuck at jobs, and then when I absolutely hated it, like I made bad decisions on what I would take next, and then like until I got to a point where I was like, all right, well, I might not like this job, but I'm definitely going to learn a lot, and I'll stay here for a little bit. And then, like, I don't know, it's just a different mentality to carry. And when you are speed dating a career and you don't know what you want to do, those are like rough waters, especially if people around you are doing what they want to do, or they're presenting it as this is what they wanted to do. You find out later that it's not.
Yeah.
But I just think it's a different outlook that people can carry. Like when my friends have trouble at jobs and they're like, I fucking hate it here, I'm like, yo, just start looking now. Like, don't look heavily, but like just start getting ready to leave. Take the experience, put it on the resume, and move on to something bigger. And I don't think there's anything wrong with and it shows in your case that the end result, but I mean, if you take enough information and you start getting enough confidence around business owners and being like, yo, I could do this, it's a pretty cool transition to then go to.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even growing, like my family dynamic growing up, my mom had one job.
Did you grow up around here?
Yeah, in Nazareth, like
yeah,
in Bushville.
Yeah, that's where I grew up.
So my mom, her first job ever was at Binney and Smith, which is now Crayola. And she stayed at that job her entire life.
Yeah.
Her entire life. My dad I am definitely his kid. Like, the moment that you lose inspiration, you're on to the next thing. So he also built his own business. So I pulled a lot of inspiration from that, because I would look at my mom and be like, you never went to college. You worked your whole job, like your whole life at this one job. Like, that's cool. Love your commitment, but I could never do that. So, yeah.
My parents were similar. My mom was a nurse. She stayed at Moravian. She's the longest running employee that Moravian Hall Square has ever had. And my father worked in a warehouse.
Yeah.
So what I do up until I think when I like showed them a couple of things that I've done where like it would resonate with them, they kind of got it. But like it was always so foreign that I wanted to run an apparel company. I mean, when I started the apparel company, I didn't have any resources around here. It's like I was trying to get stuff that was done on the West Coast that wasn't even being done on the East Coast. So like it was very foreign to even explaining that to them, where they would get frustrated sometimes because they'd be like, what are you doing?
My dad still
Like, what
asks
are you
me,
doing?
like, what is your job again? I'm like, It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Like, I'll be like, yeah, I'm podcasting tonight. And they're like, cool. Like, what do you do? Like, you're still doing that? And I'm like, yep. And then, like,
Cool hobby.
and then, because, like, my brothers will have, like, degrees on the wall and stuff like that, or, like, articles in the paper. And all of them are successful in the trades that they do, but they're, like, one's a plumber, the other one's an electrical engineer, and then the other one is working in Easton, but, like, the job that he got into, like, he went up really fast and is like does a lot there, and like there was things about him. So like for me, I'm just like, hey, over here still just trying to get stuff done. But like they understand the restaurant, like that to them is like, oh, okay. Now they have like something to tell their friends, like, oh, he's opening a restaurant. Before it was like very uncommon. It'll be weird when generations go by and like it's normal to like make money off of social media and like podcasting and stuff, because it's like the older generations, it's very taboo. Were they always supportive in your journey of everything you're doing with switching it around so much?
I guess so. As supportive as somebody could be, having a challenging firstborn who just doesn't listen to rules. I just have always paved my own path in disregards to how other people have felt about it. So yes, supportive in like, cool, good job, you're doing awesome, but like understanding exactly what I'm doing. Like, oh, you cut faces and glue hair to eyelashes. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, I mean, I can't expect them to understand exactly what I'm doing at all times, but my dad's definitely making an effort. My mom passed last year, so I'm sure she would understand more given the time being in my industry and developing my business itself. But my dad's still like, I don't understand what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's frustrating at times, but then when you see the nod, it's kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
Like I remember when my dad's always been like quiet, where my mom will support it forever, and then my dad will just be like, I don't know. And he used to always just be like, go get a job. And then like when I stopped hearing that, and he'd be like, hey, so what are you doing? And it was a little bit more, it was kind of like, all right, I get it. It was like unspoken, but like, I don't know. It's frustrating sometimes to get that from parents, but like what you said, I don't think regardless of what anyone says, you're going to be on your path to do whatever you want anyways.
Yeah.
So which brings me to, there obviously leads to a point where you want to run your own business.
Yeah.
So how long was it kind of kicking the wheels and learning everything? And, you know, I know we're coming over it fast, but I mean, 8 years is a long time. So, I mean, you must have been working and learning and apprenticing and kind of picking up a skill set that you even would remotely think that you could open. So like, bring us to that point.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, when I first moved back here from Pittsburgh, nobody really knew what eyelash extensions were. It was taking a lot of like, I would think about what my ideal client was, right? Like what their age bracket was, the kind of person that they were, and I would like seek them out. So I went to every bar in Bethlehem and found the hottest bartender and was like, you're getting a free set. So come on in.
What is the point of eyelash extensions?
To look pretty.
Yeah.
That's it.
So you're just extending them for a more, to make it pop more?
Yeah. Like you've met a woman before, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Look, I'm sure I've dated plenty of girls with fake eyelashes.
All the time.
I'm just,
and they're probably done by me.
I'm just trying to paint a picture for people listening like myself who just want a little bit more information.
Yeah. So, I mean, from years of wearing mascara or having no time, like the pandemic absolutely sucked in so many different ways. But the one thing that it did do great for my career is the only thing that you could see on somebody is their brows and lashes. So people were so focused on making that look put together when nobody had time to. So instead of sitting in front of the mirror and like doing your best drawing on brows or putting mascara on, like you just come to me and let me do it.
Yeah.
So you can make them look as natural as possible or as crazy as possible. Like I said, I do like rainbow color lashes on people and it's fucking awesome. But it's just an embellishment of themselves.
Yeah. When you got back to the area and saw that there was a need for it, is that when you wanted to open?
No, I learned a lot of different things about running businesses from the places that I worked at. So like the first location that I worked at when I moved back here, I learned a lot about how to run a really successful space. So like I worked for this place in in Easton called Bodacious, run by Val and Ann, who are probably my greatest life mentors because they are so supportive of growth, regardless of if you stay there or not, which is really cool. But how they ran the dynamic of their business was so awe-inspiring to me, that I have definitely held that all the way through. And then I worked for a few other locations in between there and owning my own business where like I would be given more responsibilities or learn things that I liked and didn't like, and was able to kind of ball all of that up and make my own space.
What was it like to take the leap forward and start like looking for a space and kind of like being able to, I mean, you're a super creative person, so I know what it's like to get a space that's nothing and be able to dump everything to it, and it's one of my favorite things to do. So like what was that like for you to because I mean the whole time, if I'm guessing correctly, you've been visualizing your space and what you would do and what you wouldn't do and how you would do it. So like when did that start becoming real for you where you were like, because that's also very crazy to jump from working for somebody else and then get into the business completely?
Yeah, so I mean, I had always been thinking about what I would want it to look like, what I wanted it to be named, and I couldn't put anything down to paper and like fully commit to it. And then I got fired in the middle of one of my clients at the last job that I had. So I was like, okay, I guess now's the time to do this.
Yeah.
So I like partnered up with my dad, and we both decided that instead of renting a space, I was just going to buy a space, and that was going to be my home for everything that I wanted to do.
That's so cool.
Yeah. 3 months before the pandemic wasn't, but
Yeah.
it's still here, which is really important. So yeah.
3 months before the pandemic. I talked to so many business owners and different people, and when that conversation comes up, it's wild. You didn't realize how many people were in that position of not just because it wasn't just people who owned businesses. Like my business was totally different. Like I was doing something way different with this, and there was a structure behind it, and it was working, and money was coming in, and then it was just poof, and then it was like, okay, people aren't doing that anymore. And then it was like, what are we gonna do? And then I had to keep the place open because I had paying sponsors. Luckily, most of them were my friends that have just like supported from the beginning. So that was like good phone calls. There wasn't like corporate people who were like, nah. I mean, probably a couple of them were like, hey, we can't do this. But to be invested in opening something and leaving something and then not knowing anything or what was going to be ahead in the beginning of your business must have been totally insane.
Yeah, that's kind of an understatement. Like I wanted to run my business as debt-free as possible. Like I didn't want to take out loans or anything like that. But my previous employment was independent contractor. So I had no money coming in. I wasn't able to apply for unemployment in any capacity. And then the like PUA or whatever it was called, I didn't get until we went back to work. So
yeah, I was in the same boat. I didn't get anything. I worked at the post office before I took the jump. So the timeline, they told me if I would have worked one more day at the post office, I would have been getting paid, like serious paychecks. So then that didn't come through. And then any of the money they sent, I was either denied, filled out wrong, or they sent it like after things were open. And then I was like, cool.
Like, you know,
thank
how
you
hard
so
it
much.
is
And then I know friends who were like, I'm getting all this money. So
like,
much money. I'm just buying steaks.
Yep. Yeah. It's real cool asking for business assistance or a business loan when everybody goes, but you haven't filed your taxes yet. I'm like, no shit. I just opened. Like my paperwork doesn't even have dollars on it yet.
I feel like nobody really paid attention to people who just opened.
Yeah. I mean, I absolutely understand now the Depression era and like the envelope theory where people just like hoard things and hide things from themselves, because that was super fucking traumatic. That was a huge huge feat for me to have to climb over. And thankfully, I didn't have employees because
what I was going to ask next is if it was just you.
Yeah, it was just me, thankfully, because there would have been no way that I would have been able to keep anybody afloat. I could barely keep myself afloat. So the moment that I got back and the business was open, I mean, my significant other that I had at the time, like every time Governor Wolf would come on that fucking Friday, we would have a Miller Lite, and we were either going to crack it because we were sad or we were going to crack it in celebration. And for like 13 weeks straight, we were so upset.
Yeah,
but,
everyone hated him.
I mean, I don't give a fuck about politics. Like, you do whatever you want. You say whatever you want. Like, it's cool. Like, each one of us has had a totally different experience through this entire thing.
Absolutely.
Like, trauma in all places, right? So, yeah. Like, coming back to business, I was like, okay, whatever that was can't happen again. So it definitely put my headspace in a survival mode, where it was, I have to make sure that if this does ever happen again, I will never experience it that way.
Yeah. When were you actually able to start doing anything? Because
like after lockdown?
Well, you opened what? So you were open 3 months and then the pandemic hit?
Yeah.
So your business was working?
Yeah. So like...
Or you were building the beginning stages of a working business?
Yeah. So I bought the building in November of 19. I got my aesthetic salon license in January. March 15th, we closed down. Didn't open again until June 26th.
Oof.
Yeah. So like my business was closed longer than it was open. Which is wild.
Yeah.
But here we are. We're doing fine.
Yeah. So when were you able to like start gripping into running a business?
I mean, I gripped it in lockdown. Like, I had notebooks and files, and my accountant congratulated me on how organized everything was. Like, I was able, because I had absolutely nothing to do but doom scroll on TikTok, I was able to really flesh out the plan that I needed for my business. Like, where was the money going? Where was it coming in? What are my utilities? What is an investment for a new employee? Like, I had all of it figured out by the time we got back into business.
Do you think that's the best way to approach a business now that you did it that way?
Yes.
Because you wouldn't have done it that way, correct?
Correct.
Not to that scope.
No, I would have definitely wung it. And I'm so glad that I had the time to figure out what I needed, like in a stability way and a financial way, for me to be successful, because it has been able to allow me to teach others how to do that as well. Yeah.
It's kind of where we're at with the restaurant, because it's no longer in... That's funny. Just even, I was like, I'm not talking about this, and then I bring it up on the first podcast. So the restaurant, whatever. We're not technically
first
moving.
Rodeo. Here we go.
We're not technically moving to where we are. So then now it's like, all right, well, what do you do?
Right.
All right. So like the whole plan of everything moving forward is no longer existence.
Right.
In that area. So we kind of took a step back, and then like when we had a meeting, we were like, let's figure out every single finance on this, completely down to what it costs to drop a piece of rice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then like the more...
I know how much it costs to unlock my door and turn my lights on.
Yeah.
Per hour.
And what's crazy is we were going to kind of just figure that out on the way. Yeah. And like as frustrating it is to sit down for me and figure that out, we're having a meeting on Friday. So like I'm starting to learn like to be more responsible on the back end. Like Never Again, it was built from nothing, and it's still just a thing that I build, and it's kind of structured, and like if I probably put 100% into my time into this, it could do awesome, but like I would rather paddle over here and do apparel and, you know, keep building it along the way. And I mean,
don't water down your success. Before we started, you were literally like, we've done 1,000 podcasts in here.
Yeah, but
so like,
just because
toot to you, sir.
Not in here. It started in my apartment, and then we moved it to Bethlehem, and then it moved to Easton. I've been fortunate enough that we decided to come back to Nazareth, and when I came back to Nazareth, this works because I'm in a basement, and it's a space that can't really be rented out to anyone else. So the rent's cheap. cheap, and I was able to build something. I was just kind of saying that that's how long I've been doing it. So technically, I have been running this wrong this long to have done over 1,000 podcasts that were in this basement. But no. Yeah, so to be able to take a step back now and breathe, and I did a little bit of that in the pandemic when I was like, all right, well, we have to change this business. What are we going to do? Yeah. And it's kind of where I came up with structuring different options for the ads and like got the back end a little bit more organized. And then I had a plan, and then I moved forward to kind of get out. I mean, I didn't really stop. I didn't have an option, but I had to like definitely figure shit out on like how to make money. So I was like, I started all right, well, how can I make money right now? All right, well, let's start selling the apparel. So like, taking that time out to do that when you actually have an inconvenience ends up being like a huge blessing in disguise to be that organized that like what you said with like, if you bring an employee on, you know what it's going to cost you. Yeah. Sometimes a business owner that's just making money will just be like, all right, cool, we got a new employee now. And they're just looking at it as, hey, we have help. And they're not paying attention to what's kind of going out to that employee or like, I don't know. I look at it now where I think it was probably one of the biggest bullets that I've dodged in a long time.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, as a business owner or anybody that is responsible for their own income, you're going to have two roads that you can go down. You're going to ask yourself where the money went, or you're going to figure out how to make a profit. I'm always going to be on the latter. I'm never going to ask, like, where the fuck did that money go? I'm always going to know how to make sure that I am maintaining profitability at all times because I want my business to survive. I don't have a retirement. I don't have benefits like a corporate employee would. I am solely responsible for how my life goes. And I'm never going to ask what went wrong. Yeah.
Because now all this is starting to make sense. When I talk to people before the podcast, they always cut it off because it'll just turn into what we're doing now. Yeah. But so now it's making sense with you going back to school and doing like the coaching and the business stuff and all that. So where does all that start coming into play if you just opened, so what is that, 2 years ago, 3 years ago now?
Yeah, 3.
Yeah, so like for you to be doing this many things on top of doing that, where did that stuff start coming into play?
Like the coaching part?
Yeah. I mean, we got to get into it all. Yeah. Just, I guess, start in order of how it came to you.
Yeah. I mean, manifest destiny, I guess. Like, I love a challenge and I love a solution. So for me, like, okay, I opened my business. This was cool. Same thing through my entire life. Like, this is cool. I need more. This was cool. I need more. And now that I run my own business, I can do the more part. So like, I'm running my business. I need an employee. Cool. How do I make that happen? I fucking teach them how to be good at their job. Why don't I make an educational program? Why don't I get into the beauty schools? Why don't I make my own pond to fish from and employ myself with amazing employees who don't have shit habits? And I'm able to grow the entire community around me with great artists who know exactly what they want to do and how to do it and how to be great artists and not have to be like babysat or have like bad artistic habits. You know what I mean? Like, I have been able to, shameless plug, like raise the bar for the community as lash artists. Like, I'm making sure that when people are starting their career, they're doing it correctly. So that has been probably the greatest thing that I've been able to do. Like, I have a business. I need to be able to have employees here who are capable of finding their own success and surviving on their own. So I'm going to teach them how to swim. So that's how it happened.
What was the first step in doing that?
Losing my mind and writing it all out. Like, I literally had to just figure out, like, how do I teach somebody who has no idea what they're doing how to walk? So yeah, it was just like, I had hired a coaching program whom I now work for to kind of help me figure out all of the like loose bits, you know what I mean? Because I had so many things moving that I just needed somebody to be like, course correct that way. Or this is how you launch your program. Or
was it easy to work with a coach?
My coach, yeah, for sure. For sure. Towards the end of the program, it definitely ended up like they weren't coaching me on business. I would just like get on the coaching call and like yell for 30 minutes and be like, okay, bye.
Minor therapy sessions.
Yeah. I mean, I paid for it. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, through all of that, they ended up asking me to come on to be a coach for them.
That's pretty
well.
wild.
Yeah. So now I get to pay that forward. So aside from like running
Now, are
my
you coaching
business,
for business or coaching for your specific business?
business in general, but beauty focused. So almost all of my students are either lash artists or permanent makeup artists or hair salon, nails, tooth gems, all of that, like somehow in the beauty industry. And I'm able to help them like figure out how to make sure that they're being legit, like that paperwork, that operating costs. If they want to be an educator, how to get on the right foot. So it's really cool.
How much time does that eat out of your schedule?
That's a great question. On the books, like each one of them gets a half an hour call. So depending on how many students I have,
Do you
on my
cut it
roster-
off, or like how do you maintain that? 'Cause
Yeah.
this is,
So
I'm so interested now because you are just taking on so much amount of crazy. So
Yeah.
so you're now, you have other stuff going on, but like when do students stop?
students never stop.
Yeah.
Never stop. So the coaching program, like plug to Sheila, Bella, and Pretty Rich Bosses, who I'm working with.
How did you find them?
Pandemic, like Sheila has such a boisterous, magnetic energy that she was doing like some conference that she was speaking at, but it was virtually, and I was like, who are you? So I started looking into her, and I was like, I really like the dynamic. She's like very pink and glittery and a high-pitched voice and like very bubbly, which is completely opposite of who I am as a person. And I was like, that seems fun. I feel like I could learn something from her. So I got interested in her program. I invested in it for myself. I learned so much from it. So now I'm able to, again, pay that forward to other students. So they sign up through the program. I have nothing to do with that. There's 8 coaches. So like I'm one of 8. And they just like the students get rostered out to us and they schedule their calls and they show up for half an hour. And I like my critical thought process has been tested so many times because it would be like, okay, you just logged on, you're crying, there's a tragedy. Like, how do we figure this out in 30 minutes or less? Like,
Is it one-on-one?
Yeah.
And then you'll do multiple students in a row in a day?
Yeah.
So you have to
yesterday I had
block
15.
Yeah, so you have to block that time out
Yeah.
when you're not
Yeah.
doing the other stuff.
Yeah.
But that also makes sense because that doesn't leave empty holes for not making money because
Right.
you need to not be in the position you were where somebody shuts everything down and you're screwed.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So like in a busy week, right? So like Monday and Tuesday I'm coaching, Wednesday I'm tattooing, Thursday I'm doing lashes, Friday I'm tattooing in the morning, coaching at night, and if I have a class scheduled that weekend, I'm teaching Saturday, Sunday, and then I also have my online platform that you can buy courses on. So it's fine. It's a casual day.
Where did you learn to tattoo?
So
Do you learn to tattoo in any of the schooling that you did, or did you learn
No.
it from working somewhere that did the I'm guessing it's like eyeliner tattoo?
It's eyeliner, brows, and lips. So the last place that I had worked at, they did permanent cosmetic tattooing. So I was inspired by that, but I invested in my own education. So it was like traveling to New York City to take a class and then just kind of figuring it out from there.
That's cool though. Mm-hmm. Do you like to travel?
I love to travel. And now I get to travel. Like October, I'm not even going to be here.
So what are you traveling for? The conferences for now you're working with her directly and they're using you to coach these cosmetic people?
So that is all remote, but they're based out of LA. So like I'll be out there in December for their holiday party.
Oh, I saw on your Instagram you went out. What was it, a couple months ago you were out doing something?
Yeah.
You traveled
probably.
somewhere.
Yeah. I was like, I don't know, somewhere doing something like In October, I'm flying out to LA for a Lash conference, but like they'll be there. I'll be nearby, so I'll get to be able to touch base with Sheila and her husband.
Now, is that a lash conference for you to learn more on lashes?
Yes and no. It's more business focused, but I am definitely going there to just continue to build my connections through like a global lash network. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, being able to have friends in different continents and different countries and states and towns and all of the things, it makes it really easy to have like an inspiring conversation with somebody, because when you're just working like in the Lehigh Valley, everybody just does the same shit over and over and over again.
Yep.
But then you talk to somebody in Portland and you're like, oh my God, what the fuck is that? Like, I want to do that. Like, how do you figure that out? So being able to have broader thoughts and different kinds of conversations with people in different locations keeps me moving.
It's crazy. How it is for me is, like, I like to go into the city or just go anywhere. Or like when I went out to Vegas, I didn't realize how empty I was until I was filled back up.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, like I actually need to leave the valley because
all the time.
It's like doom and gloom in my head because like what you said, you know, you could fall in a trap of just working or doing the same exact thing over and over and over because there's not a lot to do, and there's people trying to put stuff on, but then the regulations between what you can actually do and what would actually be cool to do is very limited on everything. And it's things that I just try and pay attention to, and I'm like, hey, every 3 months you should probably either go into the woods or go see graffiti or like just be filled back up. And it was very interesting to see how depleted I actually was when I went to Las Vegas. And I remember talking to my mom, and I'm like, she's like, how is it out there? And I was like, I feel normal. Because like everything's so crazy, it finally like matched to like the patterns in my head and everything like that. And I'm like, man, sometimes I don't think it's that I'm depressed. I just think it's so boring around here. I'm just super understimulated.
Yeah.
So like when you brought up like traveling, and it kind of made me excited because like that's what I used to want to do with the apparel. But it was at such a time when like they would be putting on like 1 or 2 fashion shows, and you would have to go out to I'm trying to think of the really big one that's out in Vegas. I don't even think it's in Vegas anymore. But there was these huge fashion shows that I would try to get out to, but I mean, Instagram wasn't around then. Like, you know what I mean? Like, nothing was really accessible because no one was all plugged in. Now, if you get into these lanes, it's like, hey, this is going on. This is going on. It's like a continued thing where you can constantly keep pushing yourself forward.
Yeah. The thing that I always have to remind myself is like holding on to the blips of glitter, right? Because with social media, with doing the mundane tasks of the day-to-day and not being able to like leave your own personal hellscape that you've literally created for yourself, right? Like the people that you follow on social media, the decisions that you make every single day, like it's absolutely our decision. It's 100% my fault if I'm not enjoying my day, right? So by being able to travel or like getting validated through an accolade or like hitting a milestone, you feel this glitter, right? Like deep in your soul where you're just like, oh my God, that's so cool. That glitter of traveling to a new place or like seeing the fucking sunrise in Utah and the mesas, like that glitter you have to hold on to, because when you're stuck in that doom scroll or the everyday tasks, it's so easy to lose that hope that like you have to think about it. You have to bring the glitter back. So being able to travel or talking to somebody who's not in the Lehigh fucking Valley or anything, who has that like dreamer mentality, that inspiration, it brings the glitter back and it's able to like just keep moving forward in a creative space.
I 100% agree. I don't talk to too many people and kind of like look at the valley, or they kind of see the valley the same way, where I feel like people grab onto people here and like that's all they grab onto. And it's like, then that's like, all right, well, the only reason I'm here is because of people. And then there's not really a lot to do. And then it's just kind of like your existence is just based off of like just people. And it's just like, I've never with like traveling and leaving, I enjoy people and like I enjoy that, but there's just something about going and just seeing, like what you were saying, like sunsets and getting specific colors and like just completely being taken out of your existence and then just being somewhere so foreign that it's like you have to almost wake up from like, I don't know. Like to me it's like such a smog here, and like I love bringing people on like yourself that like pulls that stuff out of me. I think it's why I keep doing this, and like, so I relate to people, and then like they bring out, like you brought out so many emotions that I forgot I even had with apparel, and like these things that I want to do where I'm like, man, I forgot.
Well, what a great first episode back.
But like, but it's so easy to forget about it.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean? So it's like what you were saying, like if you don't hold on to that stuff, and if you don't like pay attention to it, you can get stuck at a job you don't like and just literally just live your life.
Right. And don't get me wrong, I do like being here. Like when I was 18, I couldn't wait to leave. I was out, right? Like right off to Pittsburgh, ran my butt on out there. I mean, I was 19 when I went, but regardless, when I came back, I wasn't excited to be here. But now that I've spent time like alone as an adult, figuring it out, like I've been able to find those glitter bits all by myself. Like I garden, like walking out to my garden being like, these tomatoes look dope today. Like I love that. And I've been able to create that for myself. And like, I think it's really, really important for people to be able to do that on their own, regardless of what it is that they do. But it's the only way to keep moving.
Yeah. I don't hate the Valley at all. I like being a part of doing something here that, people can build off of and have a platform to showcase what they're doing. And like, I like where it's going and the things that it's doing, but I also like leaving. But I've tried to leave this area. I lived in Virginia twice, each time for a year, and came back. And then it's like my brother started having kids, and then it was just got to a point where like my friends are so embedded, and like you know, like I have my people. Like we watch fights every Saturday. It's what we do. People are coming over this Saturday. Like I like hosting and putting that stuff on, but it's like I also, there's a part of me that like I get so comfortable sometimes with that where I forget, where like that comfort then takes me to a point where like I'm like, oh, you know, like it's not, this doesn't feel what I was trying to feel. And then like I got to come back and get into my art and stuff like that. And then like when I do that, I love catching when it's empty and going. Like I'm going to Cali. I've never been to California before, and I'm so excited to. We're going on a trip in October from, I think the 13th to the 23rd. We're going out there to see music, and my friend's taking me all over all these awesome places. We're starting in San Francisco, and a friend of mine from I've known since I was 5 lives out there, and he's meeting up with us. Like I need that.
Yeah.
Like I'm going through some shit with like stuff that I don't talk to people about with the restaurant and everything. Like I need that. And if I don't do that, like I feel like things won't be okay. And like sometimes I need to just disconnect, go fill up, then come back here. And like it's a good station to kind of like put that energy out here, because I know there's people around here who are also doing that, and like I connect with like, you know, bringing skateboard companies on and tattoo artists and people like yourself, and it's a cool way to like kind of plug in.
Yeah, I mean, like you had mentioned, and you really just skirted over it, like you have people come here to watch fights on Saturdays, right? Like I feel like you were just like, and there's a moment, but like how cool is it that as like we're almost middle-aged right now, like that people all together are able to make free time to spend together, like, and just like make it a moment, like they're coming by. Yeah,
I'm not married, I don't have kids, and the stuff that we do at the fights with blasting the TV, and it's basically like if it was a bunch of chicks watching Oprah, like we make like crock pot dishes. So like, you know, it's cool that I get to do that, because a lot of the times it doesn't work out at my friends' houses because they have kids. Right. And like, you know, we can't be up till 3 a.m. screaming at a TV. And, you know, so it's like, it's cool that we get to do that down here.
Yeah.
I like watching fights. We do it almost every Saturday. There's like it started out as like just something I started hosting just because this is a solid hosting space. Like we did a comedy show down here. I had live music down here. It's funny looking back on all the stuff that I did. Just like I've always wanted to do music down here, and then we did it once and it worked, and I get a bartender, and like it's cool. So like the fights just kind of naturally kept happening, and now it's just something where like the bigger ones, like two of my friends from Jersey are coming in, and like I don't know, it's cool. I've always just liked hosting. I've always liked creating, and I feel like I was always frustrated with not being able to actually create something like art and drawing and stuff, so it's always had to be in a form of like the studio, like that looks like this is something I created, but like I can't draw, so like I've always just been like frustrated on like getting that out, and then I feel like sometimes that's what all this is for. So like I like to go out and then come back and then share it and connect, and like I think it's just really out of frustrations that I could never, I feel like if I could draw or tattoo or something, like I would have just went in that direction. It just didn't ever go that way. And then at one point,
but who knows? You might have sucked at it.
I was asked.
And then you'd be like, and now I'm here tattooing, and I hate this. So good thing you didn't.
Yeah. I don't know where anything would have went. But I always did like home video stuff as a kid. Like I look back sometimes, and I remember telling my brother, like we used to have a talk show in the basement. And I was like, man, like.
Wow. Full circle moment.
Yeah, so it was like, I remember like texting him one time and being like, yo, like, do you remember doing that stuff? And I'm like, isn't that like crazy that like I'm trying to do that now? Because like I look back on it and like it was so much fun. And then I feel like sometimes you can get lost and not really pay attention to like what you enjoy to do. And that's why I like bringing on people who are kind of showcasing different things, and you have 90,000 things going on. It's super interesting to even figure out how you excel at all of them. Like how long did it take you to figure out the tattooing for like the eyeliner and stuff? Like how long did you have to like apprentice underneath that?
So I didn't have to apprentice. In Pennsylvania, you don't have to be licensed, which is crazy.
And you were saying it is completely different than tattooing?
Yeah. And it's completely different from everything else that I do. So different that I have to have two separate addresses. Like I have my lash studio here, and directly across the street, I have my tattoo studio, which was hell, especially like having a mortgage and a lease and then all of my home stuff. But it's given me double the space for people to come in and create. So you have
two spaces.
I do.
How did you luck out to have something across the street open?
I actually toured that space before I bought my building. And when I found out about different laws and regulations, I was like, shit.
So you couldn't put this two in the same space?
Nope. Which is very annoying, but it's fine. Like I love both of them enough to want to do the hard stuff. So now I have two separate locations, and I've been able to outfit both studio spaces with employees. Like the business is doing the best that it can. But with tattooing, it was just like I had to keep investing in education from different people so that I could learn different styles to figure out how to make my own way work. So it took a lot of practice, which is crazy because you have to tattoo people's faces to practice. So thankfully, none of them were bad enough that I couldn't ever look at them again.
Yeah.
So yeah, lots of practice for sure, but no apprenticing.
Did you decorate the same, or is it branded completely different?
Yeah, the flamingo wallpaper is in both spaces.
That's so awesome. Where did the flamingo come from?
Okay, so this wonderful gal, Mandy, I think her name now is McAvoy. She bought a house. She's a photographer. She lived in Nazareth, went to Nazareth, bought a house in the Poconos. She works for Martin Guitar. But her house, she has an Instagram for, and I watched her remodel this whole thing. And she did this half bath in her house that had the same flamingo wallpaper and then like this black and white floor. And I was like, dude, I need the link for that. Like that's connected to me in some way and I need it. So thankfully she gave me the link and I bought it, and it's in the bathroom at the lash studio, and it's on our main wall at the tattoo studio, and now it's our logo.
She used to live in Nazareth, correct?
Yeah.
She redid a house that I think a friend of mine bought she's got some pretty cool style. And then I think
Yeah.
she sold that house and then probably bought the house in the Poconos and then was redoing that one as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the Instagram, I might be wrong, so sorry. I think it's Our Modern Home, but she has such a creative eye for it. It's not even necessarily one style, but she does it all herself. And
Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, I was fortunate enough to see the house in Nazareth. I was like, oh, shouldn't be in Nazareth.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
That's cool. So
Yeah.
you took a little bit of that style, and then now, because you were showing me some stuff that's kind of like something you added into your branding and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. So we made the flamingo part of everything. Like the legs of the flamingo are the LV logo, which is really cool. But everything in there is kind of just like a little Art Deco. Like I was definitely watching too much Boardwalk Empire when I was building
Yeah.
building
It's
out
not
the
a bad
studio.
vibe, though.
No, it's great. I love it. But yeah, it's navy and gold and a little pop of pink because it's a girl studio, whatever. But yeah, I think the vibe's great.
So where are you at now with everything?
What do you mean?
I mean, we've combed through college, opening, you're tattooing, you
Yeah.
opened up a second tattoo shop, you're mentoring and teaching children.
Not children, adults.
So you're
people who are making their own decisions.
So you have all this stuff packed up. So now all of this is running.
Yeah,
What's that like?
it's wild.
Yeah,
There
I'm
are
sure.
Some days
How
where
long
I'm
have you been doing it this way?
like all encompassing.
Yeah. Like what's the last thing you put on?
Becoming a coach, and I'm working on coming up on a year for that. So
Yeah.
everything's just starting to settle in, and I'm trying so hard not to say yes to projects, but I love a project.
But everything connects.
Yeah.
Which is what I like, because everything you're doing comes back to the core of your business, and everything that you're working on outside of it is still going to help your business, because
Yeah.
if you're doing these things, you're going to grow with the outside of things that are what's hip and new that's going on, but it's also going to elevate your business because you're directly connected to doing that. Then you're also teaching at the same time, which can be done in your downtime because you build your own schedule. And at the same time, you can chase your own tail and it doesn't matter, and just stay on a hamster wheel, and everything works and you make money off of it and you're running your own business.
And that's that.
Yeah.
Period.
What's that like to have finally, from going to beauty school to being out in Pittsburgh for 8 years, which I'm sure was extremely frustrating, until moving back, opening up, pandemic hitting, you building this complete gangster model of things to just do in a circle to make money and be your own boss. What's that like?
I haven't gotten to enjoy it yet. In the most realist way. Like, I will talk to my friends all the time about it and just be like, I don't know. Like, I'm still, like, I'm focused on this thing right now. And like, or I'll hit a milestone and I'll be like, oh my fucking God. Like, I can't believe that I did that. Like, I just signed a contract on Monday for like something that I never, ever in my entire life would have thought I would do. And it was presented to me. And that is wild to me. It doesn't even make sense. And like, I'll call my friends up and be like, dude, this is the coolest fucking thing I've ever done. And they're like, you have been not sleeping for 3 months. Why do you think that you wouldn't have that? I'm like, I don't know. Like, it just feels weird. So
what is in the realm of it that was presented to you?
well, I'm on an NDA, so you can't know yet. But it's cool.
How long until you're allowed to say something?
I don't know. So like, we're getting all of the like bits and pieces and all of the things like moving, packaged and moving, but it's really cool.
Do you think that subconsciously that you don't give yourself a moment to enjoy any of this because you want to keep moving, because you know that you just constantly keep moving?
I mean, I love moving, but my goal is to not, right? So like, I want to work.
What does that look like? I
don't know yet. I didn't get there yet. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And it's going to be really cool when it happens. And if it doesn't, I'm going to still enjoy the ride. Like, I love building things and like seeing my employees like get it and thrive and do all of these cool things, and like being asked to travel across the country for like something that I've been working on. All of that is really, really awesome. Like my hard work is starting to give me the travel that I want, to give me the free time that I want, to give me the headspace so that I can stop working so hard on surviving and start working on enjoying. And that transitionary period is really starting to happen for me. But like I said, I'm not in it yet. But there are a lot of times that I'm just like, I want to go eat really good food with my friends, and we're gonna. Or I want to take a weekend in Miami, so I'm gonna. Like, all of those things are really cool. Like, my friend and I just bought tickets to drive to Pittsburgh for a night to go see Lana Del Rey. I never at any 8 years of my career would have been like, fuck it, I'll take the day off, let's do it. So being able to do that, like, I am enjoying those parts, but like I'm so hyper focused on like survival mode still, because I feel like I'm not out of it yet. But like I said, we're transitioning. We're getting there. Like, things are moving on their own without me constantly being behind the wheels of the machine. So like seeing it just exist and being like, I did that. That's cool. So yeah.
Do you have plans to add anything else on?
No.
Yeah.
I think I'm good. I think I'm tapped out.
Yeah.
Maybe next week I'll change my mind, but right now, no.
I like that. You've been one of the most interesting people I've talked to in a while, and I just think I relate to you a lot. Like, to come off of a break, and I didn't know how this was going to go. I don't know your world.
Yeah.
Like I said, sometimes I bring people on just to see if I can kind of hang out a little bit, but I also know from interviewing a shitload of people is that they're not really defined by the work that they do. There's really a story and something else behind it. So it's been fascinating to just listen to the amount of things that you actually do, the amount of things that you got through, and then the opening in the pandemic. And then I really enjoy how you set all this stuff up and how it all works and rotates. It's been a pleasure interviewing you. What you answered to my last question was so beautifully put, to where I really like that you stop the madness. I haven't ever really been able to figure out how to do that, but I appreciate someone who can just turn it off and be like, no, we're good here. This is all working. These are all things. But I also like to go over here and go to a concert and come back, and you keep normalcy in it, but you do get to get in and out. This has been a pleasure. It couldn't have went any better for the first time. I was a little nervous, but this was easy. It was really intriguing to talk to you. If you ever want to come back on, or when you're allowed to talk about it again, or if you want to come on with some other businesses, I like bringing a couple different people on. You're more than welcome. I want to give you a chance to kind of close out and let anyone know where they can find anything that you're doing, and you can plug away to anything that you need to plug.
Cool. Well, here's my elevator pitch. So, hi, my name's Jess. I am on Instagram as Lehigh Valley Lashes. I own LV Lash and Brow, which does permanent cosmetics and lash services. I also do education, which you can find on our website, lvlashandbrow.com. And if you ever need a business mentorship, Pretty Rich Bosses is where you're going to find me.
Cool. Thank you so much. I'm going to try and remember how I used to close this show out. I always screw it up.
Should it end with a clap?
Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. You can find everything you want on neveragainstudio.com. That has our apparel. Apparel is going to be back on there. So if you go on there, when this airs, I should have the Off Balance line dropping. I'm going to have some of the classics on there, so you can find everything with apparel directly on there. If you buy it, it's going to go to Kyle. He's going to ship it out. It's technically drop shipping. We're going to be doing more stuff with the Burger Club. So apparel has got its own thing going on. All the YouTube, Spotify, all that stuff is directly connected to there as well. If you go over to YouTube, subscribe to it. I'm also building out the Spotify. I think that's it. Thank you to all my sponsors who are still with me. New sponsors coming on, and feels good to be back. Thank you so much.
Nailed it.
I usually fuck that up.
It
probably won't be recorded. Thank you again for coming on. I appreciate you.
Of course.
I believe it.